Burnout. It's a word that brings dread to many of us who are passionate about the work that we do. We wish that we could work endlessly without burning out or getting overwhelmed, but that's not always the case. And burnout is particularly common amongst creators of any sort, whether that's entrepreneurs or freelancers or artists. With demanding work sprints and tight deadlines, it's no wonder that creators face immense pressure to produce content at blistering fast pace. So as a business owner who creates content for my own business as well as on the side for the things that I like to do for my own brand, I want to talk to you about a few of the ways that we as creators can avoid burnout. And because burnout feels like this impending doom, like you've got the one ring around your neck and you're carrying it to Mordor to throw it into the fires of Mount Doom, we often don't realize that there are steps that lead us to this stage of burnout and feeling overwhelmed. Burnout happens when our stress levels over a long period of time start to pile up and overwhelm us. And then we just crash and burn. And this is why we see those creators who reach that state of severe burnout disappearing off the grid for extended periods of time just because they can't handle it anymore. And it's no wonder that this happens to creators when we look at the deep health model and how stress affects our life and our health in these different dimensions. We can see that there's a lot going on in the life of a creator that can lead to stressors. Mentally, there's a lot of decision fatigue that comes from having to cram a lot of work into the hours of your day, and also it all being on your shoulders that leaves us feeling like a zombie at the end of the day. There's also the social stress of working in isolation. There's a lot of loneliness that can come with being a creator and feeling like an outcast or like you don't belong because you're going against the status quo and doing something that maybe you don't have a strong social support for. Emotionally, we have to handle all the criticisms that can feel like a full-time job. Existentially, as we start to get towards that breaking point, we can start to question our purpose and how meaningful the work that we're doing is. And then all of these combined lead to those physical clues in our body and the stress that just piles on from all of this. So this probably even sounds like a lot and overwhelming as I talk about it, but let's go into some of the things that we can do as creators to help to reduce that stress load and to prevent burnout. So the first step in stopping creator burnout is to know your stress style. The more that we can develop this awareness and understanding of what's going on internally, the sooner we can recognize the first signs of burnout and help to prevent it. So start to ask yourself questions around, how does stress make you feel? There's always a physiological response with stress. So if you start to look at the trends in things like objective scoring of your stress, whether you use like a Whoop band or an Aura ring or even your Apple Watch to track HRV or heart rate variability, or even simple signs like your breath rate and your heart rate, using these objective measurements like heart rate variability or heart rate and breath rate can start to suggest the trends that are indicating that your body is in a stressed state and that you need to practice recovery to get back on track. But it doesn't just have to be these fancy measurements that give us signs that we are getting stressed and leading towards burnout. Subjective things like whether you're struggling to get out of bed in the morning or if you have that creative spark or not are things that lead us into the next step for preventing creator burnout. So that leads us into sleep, because sleep is our recovery superstar. And this, more than any other thing that we do, can help to reduce the stress load on our body and prevent burnout. And it's a tough subject to talk about because everybody's got their feelings around sleep, whether they're working so hard that they can't find a way to manage to get more sleep or better quality sleep. There are a lot of factors, and stress can definitely be one of them that impacts our sleep quality. But it is important enough that we need to prioritize this above everything else, especially as we are getting more and more stressed, so that we can help to prevent further burnout. And really, this comes down to creating a sleep routine and a consistent sleep schedule and sticking to it as much as possible. This is just the discipline that we need to implement in our well being as much as we do in our creative work and endeavors to make sure that we can keep on performing and progressing long term. And to perform your best, you have to recover your best as well. So don't just create a sleep routine, but also create a recovery plan for yourself. As creators, many of us have control over our work schedules, and we need to apply the same level of mastery to our recovery schedule and not just work endlessly. And there are a lot of things that we can put into place depending on what recharges you and makes you feel your best. Depending on where you're at in your life, you may not be able to afford fancy spa treatments to go and experience, float therapy or massage therapy or get into an infrared sauna as your recovery strategies, but there are a lot of other things that we can do as well. Really, this looks like having something to look forward to each week that is outside of work alone. And this is going to depend totally on you, so only you can answer this question for yourself as to what that looks like. It may be meeting up with a group of friends to go for a hike or a long bike ride as part of a riding group. Maybe you're going to disappear into the woods for a few hours on your own, or practice another hobby that's outside of your creative craft. And this is what In The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, she talked about as having the artist's date, which is a 2-hour block of time just for you to recharge your creative batteries. And there's good reason that this is non-negotiable time just as much as work is, and for why this works so well. I find that with all the work that I have to do, my mind is always on work, and if I don't force myself into having this off time throughout the week, ideally on Sundays I try to do very little work and not think about anything creative or work wise so that I can recharge and be ready to go again on Monday. And this has made a big difference for me in managing to come up with more creative ideas and keep on performing long term rather than just trying to work every single day of the week until I start to not have as much energy or passion or start to feel burnt out. You can tell yourself that you'll be able to work every single day, but after a few weeks of doing this, you're going to start to see diminishing returns. So give yourself a weekend or at least one day a week that's off from work, and you are going to feel a lot better and perform long term a lot better as well. So let me know in the comments below what you do to recharge and prevent burnout, and what's your next action step to take your recovery to the next level. And if you find that as a creator you repeat this burnout cycle often for yourself, my stress management success course is opening up for enrollment again next week. And so check out the link in the description to get signed up for the waitlist and enroll in this course. It's going to help you to completely understand and create an action plan so that you can be unstressable and never experience burnout again. So thank you all for watching. Keep on doing what you love, and until the next video, find your flow.